So you've purchased a Cryptosteel cassette and you're excited to set it up? Well, we are excited to show you how. Welcome back to Woodland Pools. Today, we're going to take a look at how to set up the Cryptosteel Cassette by Satoshi Labs. Let's jump in. Alright, so first things first, I want to start off by clarifying this is not a paid promotion. We are not sponsored by anyone on this channel, but the folks over here at Satoshi Labs who make the Trezor Model T were kind enough to send us a Cryptosteel cassette for us to take a look at and give an honest review on the channel. So let's go ahead and take a look at this thing and see what's inside. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into here. It's a really nice looking box here. We've got a little rip tab here, so we'll go ahead and rip this open. Set this aside. Little thing here says open with care, so let's go ahead and open that up. Okay, and in here we've got a little styrofoam container. In our container here we have the cassette itself. Here are some instructions on how to use the cassette, and this is a label diagram for all the little notches that we have here that have all of our letters that we're going to use for our actual cassette. Okay, well, enough of holding this up like this. Let's switch to our overhead camera. And before we even get started, if you're wondering why would I want a Cryptosteel to begin with, here in the Trezor shop they make some really good points. Having this metal steel capsule gives you resistance to physical damage including fire, flooding, corrosive conditions, electric shock, and any kind of impact. So instead of the pieces of paper that come with your hardware wallet, they can get torn or they can get burned or something like that. This gives you a nice secure way to store it. It's a lot sturdier than having it just on paper. So let's go ahead and set the thing up. Alright, so here we've got our cassette and our instructions. So it looks like to open the cassette, we're going to go ahead and just slide it like this. Nice, we got a nice little satisfying clicking noise there. And we can see here, I'm not sure how well you can see with the glare, but we've got here, this is numbered from 1 to 12 right here. And then on the back side, we've got numbers 13 through 24. So if you have a 12-word recovery phrase, you can store your recovery phrase here for 2 different wallets. Or if you have a 24-word recovery phrase like the one that we have here, you'll just take both sides up to do the one recovery phrase on each cassette that you have. So for this example, we'll just do a 12-word recovery phrase. So we'll just do the first 12 words that are on that list here. So okay, so we've got our 12 words that we're going to enter. We have our cassette and our instructions. The first thing it looks like we're going to want to do is we're going to want to release the safety, which is this little thing right here, by turning it 90 degrees. And it says here we can use a letter tile itself instead of the screwdriver. So let's go ahead and set this aside for a second. Here's our labels for our letters. We can go ahead and pull off this cover. Keep this handy so you can put it back on and store your letters and have them not fall out everywhere. So let's just set this aside as well. All right, so I went ahead and just grabbed one of these letters. Let's put our instructions back here. So I'm going to go ahead and place this here and turn it 90 degrees to the left. So we're good there. Now, for the slot access, this was actually kind of tricky the first time I tried. It says to press slot 1, which is actually this little piece right here that's kind of recessed, and then we can turn this out. So what I did is I put this letter right here in this little notch right there, and I'm going to turn it all the way to the right to push this out as much as possible, and then you can slide this out. It's a little bit tricky, but if you get it right into this little corner right here and then turn all the way, that should give you what you need. So now that we have this open, these letters will just slide right into these different slots here, and we can do them for our different words. So let's go ahead and set our instructions aside again. And now remember, we've got this label to help us with the different letters and where they correspond, so I'll put this guy back. And so taking a look at our recovery phrase here, our first word is alone, and if you look at this little label, it says to protect your mnemonic seed, only enter the first 4 characters of each word. So let's go ahead and start with our first 4 words for alone. So I've got my A, I'm gonna grab an L, an N. So right now so far I got my A-L-O-N, which is gonna slide all the way down for word number 1. It's kind of tricky at first working with this thing, but I found that this little tip that they said to use the letters themselves instead of a screwdriver has worked out really nicely. So for example, you can just turn one of these on its side and you can do this and push the letter all the way down like this. Then we can see here that the first 4 letters fit nice and perfectly under the slot for the first word. And by the way, the reason why you only need to enter the first 4 letters for each word is these seed phrases, these mnemonic phrases. There's a fixed set of known words that go into these seed phrases, and they're randomized to generate each new recovery phrase, but it's a fixed and known set of words. So for example, if you have A-L-O-N, there will be no other word other than alone that starts with A-L-O-N. So you don't have to worry that there's like an alone and a long, and you worry, oh shoot, like which one is mine? When you're typing in to restore your hardware wallet, alone will be the only word that would pop up in this case. And so I'm actually finishing up my second row here, and what I found that was kind of helpful when I was doing the first and the second is if you're trying to get this like last letters pushed in, what you can always do is close this trap to push it and get them nice and aligned, and you can always just come and take one of your letters and then unlock it the same way we did before. Turn this sideways, and then you can pull this back out, and then continue with your next row. All right, cool. So I'm getting my last letter in here. Cool, nice. So this seals up nice and clean. All right, so we've closed it. We've heard the click like it shows here, and now we're gonna wanna turn this back the 90 degrees like we did before. It probably helps if you want to just like with your finger, pull this in to try and make it as flush as possible, and be pulling with your finger as you're turning this the 90 degrees. That's the best chance you're going to get that to line up nice and clean here. And so now that this is at 90 degrees, this doesn't move at all anymore. It's pressed nice up against our letters, so we know they're not going to move. They're definitely not going to fall out. And then we can go ahead and just turn this back, and we have it this nice and sealed thing here. So now that you've finished setting up your cassette, some questions might be, well, like now where do I store it? You can always take the same approach that you did with your pieces of paper and put them in a secure place like a fireproof safe or something like that. But since the cassette itself is already fireproof, you can get a lot more creative on where you decide to store this recovery phrase. I've heard all kinds of examples of people putting them inside of walls or inside of doors, or since it's waterproof, you can maybe put it at the bottom of a water tank somewhere. There's lots of different options that you can do, but you want to make sure that it's in a place that only you know about, that is hard to get to, whether it's either physically difficult to reach or has some kind of a locking mechanism that prevents entry, but at the same time, you don't want to make it so difficult to get to that if for any reason you need to restore from a recovery phrase, it's really hard for you to get to. So you want to find that balance between nice and tucked away, but accessible to you, so you can always restore your hardware or software wallet from the recovery phrase at any time that you need. Satoshi Labs also has the Cryptosteel capsule, so if you're looking for something smaller and more affordable, check out our video on how to set that one up. And if you want to see a comparison between the capsule and the cassette and see the pros and cons of each, check out our video on that topic as well. Let us know how the setup went for you, and if nothing else, we'll see you in the next video.